Make your choices a whole lot smarter. We've got you covered on Acro Drive. Now enjoy this video. Big news day because we have so much coming in from a very interesting press conference that I've just stepped out of. Toshihiro Suzuki, the representative director and president of the Suzuki Motor Corporation, is in India for the Auto Expo and for several high-level meetings internally for both Suzuki two-wheeler and of course Maruti Suzuki. The context of this conversation was more skewed towards the cars, so I'm going to tell you about some of the big highlights and some of the things you can expect then from Maruti Suzuki in India. There were two clear messages that Mr. Suzuki seems to have come in with, and he was pretty vocal and really emphasized those two messages repeatedly. The first, the fact that Suzuki in the future is going to remain an independent company. There's been a lot of speculation about a takeover by Toyota, but Suzuki, through the help of its massive amount of operations here in India, that is Maruti Suzuki, will remain globally an independent company. He repeated that fact many, many times. The second thing that he talked about very clearly was about regaining a 50% or over market share for passenger cars here in India. That is again a point he made over and over again, and I think the reason was quite clear, that big growth is what the company is forecasting for its operations here in India, and through that also its operations globally. So let me run you through that. Now, India is very important to this overall plan, and so is Maruti Suzuki, so is the manufacturing here in India, which will also continue to grow and continue to increase. In fact, regaining that 50% share is dependent, says Mr. Suzuki, on continuing to actively expand the Indian operation. So you have a new plant that's going to be coming on stream this year at Kharkhoda in Haryana, and that will eventually add 10 lakh units annual capacity, but in the first couple of phases it's going to be 2.5 and 2.5 lakhs, the first of which will happen just in a few months' time. The second will probably kick in closer to the end of this year or next year. Now, that plant will be again hybrid in terms of being able to make different kinds of vehicles, but there will be a huge emphasis on exports. Last year we already saw Suzuki having its highest ever exports from India. That is going to continue to grow, including exports to Western Europe, Japan. To give an example, the e-VITARA, which is the first electric Suzuki model globally, and also the e-Access, which is the scooter that's going to be electric, will be exclusively made in India for the whole world. So they will not be manufactured at any of Suzuki's facilities anywhere else. That's a big statement. Cars like the Fronx, which have already been going from India to the Japanese market, that was a first, because first time you saw Suzuki made cars or Maruti made cars going to Japan. Well, that car's been doing really well in that market, says Mr. Suzuki, and he says its current order book is at about 15,000 units, which is 3 times what the company had projected the demand to be, and so they're actually behind on those orders. The new plants will also mean new capacity in Gujarat, where you already have about 7.5 lakh capacity. That will also grow to 10 lakhs. So we are basically seeing a doubling of overall manufacturing capacity over the next couple of years to about 4 million units. That is a huge number. Don't forget that we're talking about a time when the Indian market will also continue to grow, and Maruti wants to be about half of that, which means by the time the market gets to about 8 million units, which is double of what it is today, Maruti wants, or Suzuki wants its production in India to also be doubling to a 50% odd range. We've seen a big emphasis on SUVs from the company in the last few years. That emphasis will continue, says Mr. Suzuki, and the reason for that is because he admits that Suzuki was a late entrant or a late player to the SUV party. So we'll see a lot more action at that end of the market, but it doesn't mean that the work on hatches or sedans will stop or go down, or nor will Suzuki want to exit any of those segments. A large amount of volume comes from that space, he says, and so he says we will not give up on hatches and sedans. That will continue to happen. And when it comes to even niche products like the Jimny, there are certain markets in the world and certain pockets of consumers which will always want products like that, and so they won't stop developing those products, or even hot hatches like the Swift. The EV itself, now let's quickly talk about the e-VITARA. The fact that again it's a late entrant to that space, Suzuki says that it wants to use that to its advantage by saying that, look, we've studied all the competition vehicles in this space very closely, try to understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then we'll address some of that in what is actually coming to market. Pricing will be very key, and having at least a 500 kilometer range, says Toshihiro-san, was also very, very key to the development and then launch of this product. So lots to look forward to in terms of growth, lots to look forward to in terms of electrification as well. There will be more cars coming in. The last point I want to make is that it seems like Suzuki is quite clear that it won't give up on the ICE side of things. It will do the EVs because the competition is doing them. It's not really looking to chart any kind of new course or benchmark or even try to take any kind of a leadership position there. Having said that, he does believe that it's very important to have a compact electric vehicle where they can balance out smaller range because of a smaller battery, but with the kind of needs people have. So he said that is something that's very important. It's under development and we should be able to see something like that. The reason why the e-VITARA is the first EV is because having that 500 kilometer range or a larger battery was important for that first product to achieve some kind of recognition and popularity. And then from there, he says we will continue to look at doing compact EVs because he believes that that's actually where the market is. That's actually what the requirement from the consumer is, especially in markets like India. Everything car and everything bike. We got you. Here on Acco Drive, our expertise for your ease.